Our consumers, all of us, will have to shell out more from today as several goods, basic essentials, goods and services that we purchase in our markets will be costing higher from today onwards because the Goods and Services Tax or GST Council has approved a rate hike to address an inverted duty structures and withdrawn some exceptions. So now, under this new GST rates, from today you will have to pay more for pre-packaged foods, for hospital rooms, for packaged cereals, for pulses, for flour. And in the midst of all of this, the Delhi Chief Minister has asked the centre to remove GST on food items. After inflation, we now have these new GST rates on everyday essential products, on services that are extremely essential, like emergency services, like hospitals that hurt household budgets. The new Goods and Services Tax or GST rate comes into effect from today. A host of essential goods and services are becoming more expensive. There's going to be a 5% GST that is applicable on pre-packaged labelled food items. This includes everything from atta to paneer and curd. Also on hospital rooms that have a price of more than 5,000 rupees. That's not all. 18% GST is now going to be levied on tetra packs too. Now remember, the finance minister has said that there's been no opposition from any state on rate changes. Despite that, now we have everyone from Rahul Gandhi to Arvind Kejriwal who are speaking out.
बहुत ज़्यादा महंगाई हो गई है पूरे देश के अंदर और दूसरी तरफ केंद्र सरकार ने जो खाने पीने की वस्तुएं थी उन पे भी आज टैक्स लगा के उनको महंगा कर दिया है। मैं मांग करूंगा केंद्र सरकार से कि ये जो खाने पीने की चीज़ों पे जीएसटी लगाया गया है इसको वापस लिया जाए। इतनी महंगाई के ज़माने के अंदर दिल्ली सरकार लोगों को महंगाई से थोड़ी सी रियायत दे रही है। मैं केंद्र सरकार से निवेदन करूंगा कि ये जीएसटी जो है ये सही नहीं है, जो आपने खाने पीने की चीज़ों पर लगाया है इसको वापस लिया जाए।
At a time when we're witnessing record high inflation, the retail inflation has been above 6% for the whole year. So household budgets have been already hit by that. But to top it all off, the GST rates on everyday essentials and services have been hiked starting today. Let's take you through some of these products that you will now have to pay more, that now get more expensive because of the new GST rates. Unbranded but packed items, there's a 5% flat GST on these items. Earlier, there was no GST on these at all. So lassi, curd, paneer, the milk products that we use in our everyday life, earlier they had a 0% GST, now they'll come with a 5% GST. Rice, wheat, flour and other cereals will also come with a 5% GST now. Jaggery, honey, papad, meat and fish, except for frozen meat and fish, will also entail a 5% GST starting today. So all of these everyday essentials will get more expensive. But apart from those, other things such as bank checks, the price we pay to our banks to issue a new checkbook, that will also come with a GST rate of 18% now. Earlier there was of course no GST at all on checkbooks that we had to issue, but now you will have to pay 18% GST on that. LED lamps will come with a GST rate of 18% now. Earlier this GST rate was 12%. Hotel rooms that have a tariff of under 1,000 rupees per day will now come with a GST of 12%. Earlier this rate was of course also 0%. These categories were earlier exempt from the GST purview, but now they've been included in GST. So hotel rooms less than 1,000 rupees per day. But a little more concerning pointer, more than hotel rooms, is hospital rooms, because of course when out-of-pocket expenditure and medical expenditures are already so high, after that hospital rooms come with a GST rate of 5%. These are hospital rooms only that have a daily tariff of more than 5,000 rupees per day. They earlier had no GST at all, but now they have a GST rate implied to them. Let's get you details of other products also that we use in our everyday life. Your printing and writing ink, earlier it was a 12% GST, now it's gone up to 18%. Cutlery, our spoons, forks, our knives, all of that will come under the purview of 18% GST, while earlier it was 12% GST. So 6% hike there. Cut and polished diamonds earlier came with a 0.25% GST. Now it's gone up to 1.50% GST. The work contract for roads, bridges, crematoriums earlier entailed a 12% GST, but now it's gone up to 18%. This is, of course, the contract payments that you do for construction of roads, bridges, that the government also does on contracts for roads, bridges and crematoriums. They earlier had a 12% GST, but now gone up to 18%. So from this list, we can see essentially that GST rates across categories, right from essentials, from our bread to our atta, what creates our bread, what creates our everyday food, to our services such as hotels and hospitals, to cutlery, to writing ink, to all of these varied basket of products, all become more expensive starting today, and they make the life of the common person even harder, as the common person is already battling with record high inflation.
GST from today on several new items. One of them, hospital beds that cost more than 5,000 rupees. I have with me the CFO of KIMS Hospital in Hyderabad, Mr. Vikas Maheshwari. What is the implication for the patient and for the hospital?
Thank you, madam. So I think this is the additional cost for the patients because the government has imposed the service GST on 5,000 rupees and above rooms. Other than the ICU, the patient has to pay 5% GST on that. As a hospital, we have to collect this additional amount from the patients and deposit with the government. So it will be an additional cost for the patients.
When you go to a hospital and come out, always the big concern, other than the health of the patient itself, is the bill. This is certainly going to add to the trauma that the patient's family feels.
And I fully agree with you because in the hospital, nobody comes for the pleasure or for the rest, etc. Whenever they are in the room, they are either by the pre or post operation of the medical care, and they're being put on the observation. So in my sense, it should not be there. But the government, in their best decision, they have levied this. Earlier, it was there in some context as a luxury tax, which was contested and then withdrawn by the state governments. Then again, it has come as a GST in a new route. And as a organization and as a various forums, we are taking it with the governments to remove this additional levy right now.
So you're saying from the hospital side, there could be a move to request the government to go back on such a tax that's being imposed?
Yes. So we have already reached out through our TASHA and other All India associations and taking up very actively with the government, and then we hope that it will be reversed shortly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So hospitals that give you otherwise the shock of bills, now the added burden of the GST. The hospital, of course, itself is only an agency through which the money travels into the government's pockets. In Hyderabad, with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
I am joined here by Mrs. Ragini, one of the housewives. We are going to speak to her in Mohali district about how the rising prices, not only this GST hike on the commodities, but otherwise price rise has been reported in the last couple of months on every essential commodity, and how it is going to impact the livelihood, your expenses, or particularly for a housewife in her kitchen, how does the price rise affect her? ये बताइए कि पिछले सरकार ने जीएसटी की अनाउंसमेंट की है कि जीएसटी एक नया टैक्स जो है खाने पीने की चीज़ों पर और बढ़ जाएगा. पिछले 1-2 महीने की अगर बात करें तो किन किन आइटम्स, कौन कौन सी चीज़ें महंगी हुई हैं, दाल, सब्जी, फल, इनके बारे में बताएं.
सब्जी भी हर एक जितनी सब्जी आती है हर चीज पे उस पे 4 रुपया 5 रुपया रेट बढ़ ही रहा है, कम नहीं हो रहा है. दाल पे भी, मसाले पे भी, आटा के भी. आटा पहले मिलता था 170 रुपया कट्टा 5 किलो, अब तो ये आशीर्वाद आटा हो गया 280 रुपया. और ये आटा जो मिलता है, ये किसानों जो लोग खाते हैं, आम लोग, गरीब लोग, वो राधा कृष्णा वो मिलता है 270 रुपया आटा मिल रहा है. और रिफाइन मतलब ये नहीं है कि हर एक चीज पे दाम बढ़ ही रहा, घट नहीं रहा है.
तो इससे जो है अगर समझना चाहें कि घर के राशन पे असर क्या पड़ता है, क्या कोई चीज खाने में आदमी कमी कर रही हैं आप लोग या
कमी कर रहे हैं? क्या करें, जब कमाई नहीं, पैसे नहीं, तो कहाँ से खाएंगे? थोड़े चीज लाते, जहाँ 5 किलो लाते वहाँ 3 किलो आता, जहाँ 10 किलो आता वहाँ 5 किलो आता। क्या करें, हम लोग तो गरीब आदमी है, हम लोग का तो रोज खाना, रोज कमाना है, क्या करेंगे?